Welcome everybody, welcome. This is going to be a very, very important update. As we're gonna we're gonna compress and go over together the Hinman documents as I have them in my possession. I have the PDFs, and we're gonna share the 13-page documents together. This is gonna take a little bit of time. We're gonna do our due diligence. So we're gonna unpack this together. Let me just pull everything up so I can see everything everybody's saying, so I can get all my stuff in order that I need. Give me about 60 seconds. Well, what a day. What a day. XRP, as you know, pumped about 6.6%. And then that was approximately as the Hinman documents were released. I have not read everything in them. I've gone over some of it, but this is going to be very exciting. Very exciting. I'm looking forward to get going with this. Just give me roughly 45 seconds and we're going to get going here. We're going to get going hot and heavy as well. I don't know who's going to be in here. I don't know how many people are going to actually partake, but everybody should want to do this together as a community. We'll be able to actually read a lot more stuff. Lot more stuff. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Make sure you hit that like button. Will greatly, greatly help push more people into here. I know everybody's waiting. Just give me not even 10 seconds here. Not even 10 seconds. I apologize. Okay. So, good morning. 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So we have the Hinman documents. We're going to go over this together. 9 people in here. Make sure you hit that like button. I don't anticipate a lot of people to be in here. I anticipate more people will see this after it goes live on YouTube. So if you're watching, just make sure you hit that like button. I've got all 13 pages here already downloaded. I've got the PDFs here. It's Exhibit 210, and we're going to get going here. I just want to acknowledge everybody who's here. I want to make sure I have this pulled up so that I can talk to each and every one of you because I find it a valuable part of this community. This is a 13-page document, so it's going to take time. George, welcome in. Ari, I really appreciate that. Spanish Escapades, if you were all out of XRP time, what would you do right now? Wouldn't want to be all out of XRP right now. I would wait to see exactly how this level plays. We'll get into all of that and more. Let's just start unpacking this though. So I've got the chat up now. I can see everybody. Let me just do it on here as well so I can see it coming on here. Oops. All right, perfect. So let's get into this. So as we can see, Exhibit 210. So subject, the Ethereum speech. Attached are TM's comments on Bill's draft speech. Please let us know if you have any questions or would like to discuss further. And this is from Natasha, and then this is William Hinman. Attached, please find the draft of the speech I had mentioned would suggest that we do not need to see a need to regulate Ether as it is currently offered as a security. That language is in brackets and would be used if we all are in agreement. We also have a call with Buterin later this week to confirm our understanding of how the Ethereum Foundation operates. So they're saying it's a security and it doesn't need right off the bat. Right off the bat, this already makes the SEC look awful. Even if they're ruling XRP as security, according to this, even Ethereum as a security doesn't matter. So, page 3 of 3. Please feel free to share any comments with me and the folks in the CC line. Thanks, Bill. William Hinman. We've been waiting a long time to read this. So, digital asset transaction. So this is a non-public draft, June 4th, 2018. digital asset transactions under the Securities Act of 1933, something witty and snappy. There has been considerable discussion. Here, let me make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see. I'm going to put me over here in the corner just so I'm not in the way. So let's pull this up, make this a little bit bigger. There has been considerable discussion recently in the press and at legal conference regarding whether a digital asset offered as a security can over time become something other than a security. I think framing the question that way may miss an important point, which I hope to make with my remarks here today. Everybody, make sure to hit that like button, share this far and wide so we can get everybody who wants to be in here to be able to see this information. I really appreciate you joining me live. This is for a public release, but I wanted to do this so everybody could be a part of this. If you had any questions, that's a good thing for XRP, what they said about the security right off the bat. They're saying just because it's a security doesn't mean it needs to go under investigation, essentially. So let's continue reading this. So, to start, I think a better line of inquiry is, can a digital asset or token that was originally offered a securities offering ever be sold in a manner that does not constitute a securities offering? Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate that greatly. In cases where the digital asset or token represents a set of rights that give the holder a financial interest in an enterprise, the answer is likely no. In these cases, calling the transaction an initial coin offering or ICO won't take it out of the purview of the U.S. securities laws. But what of those cases where there is no central enterprise being invested in and where the digital asset or token is sold only to be used to purchase a good or service available through the network on which it was created? I believe in these cases the answer is a qualified yes. Blank Properties, welcome in, Steve. I appreciate you tuning in. I'd like to share my thinking with you today about the circumstances under which that could occur. First, I would like to start with a little background on the new world of digital assets. Most of you are no doubt quite familiar with Bitcoin and know of blockchain or distributed ledger. And this is page, just for your record, page 5 of 13 now. The ledger. Technology, as I have come to learn, what may be exciting about this technology is the ability to share information, transfer value, and record transactions in a decentralized digital environment. What does that mean? Payment systems, supply chain management, intellectual property rights, licensing, stock ownership transfers, and countless other potential applications can't be conducted electronically. With a public immutable record, without the need for a trusted third party to verify transactions, using these networks, one can create digital information packets that can be transferred using encryption keys. These packets are sometimes called coins or tokens and can be obtained through mining, distribution, sale, or exchange by users in the network. Some people believe these new systems will forever transform e-commerce as we know it. There is excitement around the new technology. There is also a great deal of irrational exuberance and unfortunately many cases of fraud. But that is not what I want to focus on today. I'm here to talk about how these digital tokens and coins are being issued, distributed, and sold. In order to raise money to develop these new systems, promoters often sell the tokens themselves rather than sell, and this is important right now for Ripple. In order to raise money to develop these new systems, promoters often sell the tokens themselves rather than sell shares. Everybody, Ella, is it good news or bad? Don't ask that question till we get through with the 13-page report. Everybody who wants to know if this is good or bad, do the due diligence and let's get through this first. We don't know if it's good or bad, but so far it's starting off very good. Now let me continue. Let's see. In order to raise money to develop these new systems, promoters often sell the tokens themselves rather than sell shares, issue notes, or obtain bank financing. We have seen public distributions on, and look, they said sell shares. So everybody who says it's not a share, token, it's all the same if you own it. Let's see. Often sell tokens themselves rather than sell shares, issue notes, or obtain bank financing. No problem, Mark. 13 pages is quite ironic, Johnny. Of course it is. Of course it is. We have seen public distributions on the internet and private placements to sophisticated investors, but in many cases, the economic substance is the same. Funds are raised with the expectation that promoters will build their system and investors can earn a return on the instrument, usually by selling their tokens in the secondary market as the value of the digital enterprise increase once the promoters create something of value with the proceeds. This is exactly what they're claiming is a problem for Ripple. If this is the language put out by Bill Hinman himself saying why Ethereum shouldn't be going after, I mean, this looks very bad for the SEC now. Just right off the bat, the first 5 pages to answer your question, it looks very bad for the SEC, and it would look quite biased if they ruled against XRP so far, especially if the judge did. She would obviously have an agenda at this point. When we see the kind of economic transaction, 43 people in here. Really, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it on this early morning. Make sure you hit that like button so we can get more people in here. When we see the kind of economic transaction, it is easy to apply the Supreme Court's investment contract. Test first, announce an SEC versus Howey. As you will remember, the test, hey, Power Gear, welcome in. The test from the efforts of others, and it is important to reflect on the facts of Howey. A Florida hotel operator sold interest in a citrus grove to its largely out-of-state guest. No problem, Ella. Welcome in from Germany. How awesome is that? The transaction was recorded as a real estate sale together with a service contract. In theory, purchasers could arrange to service the grove themselves, but few pursued that option. In fact, the purchasers were passive, relying largely on the Howey Service Company's efforts, tending the assets. About time we see some green. Yes, sir, David. Yes, sir. Is placed. Let's see. Hold on. The Howey Service Company's efforts tending the assets for a form is disregarded for substance. Oh, sorry. The comments pushed in here a lot. I apologize. The assets for a return. And in articulating the test for an investment contract, the Supreme Court's trust form is disregarded for substance and the emphasis is placed on economic realities. So the purported real estate purchase was found to be an investment contract and hence a security. In the ICOs we have seen, overwhelmingly promoters tout their ability to create some innovative application of blockchain technology. The investors are passive. Marketing efforts are rarely targeted to potential users of the application, and the viability of the application is uncertain. I think that's what that is, or still uncertain. At that stage, the purchase of a token looks a lot like a bet on the success of the enterprise and not the purchase of something that may someday be used to exchange for goods or services on the network. As an welcome in, driver Noah. Hello, welcome in. As a aside, you might ask, given that these token sales often look like security offerings, why are the promoters choosing to package the investment as an ICO or token offering? This is an especially good question if the network on which the token or coin will function is not yet operational. So think about what SEC is suing Ripple, and they said they're going after every single crypto that had an initial coin offering. Bill Hinman himself is disproving that is going to be a big problem. Or he's proving right here that this is going to be a big problem. So pay attention to this. A big problem for the SEC saying that there's security simply because of an initial coin offering. This is saying that is not technically a problem because they have no function. It's not yet operational. So that is interesting. That line in itself is very interesting. I think there can be a number of reasons. For a while, it was believed such labeling might by itself remove the transaction from the securities laws. I think people now realize labeling an investment opportunity as a coin or token does not achieve the result. Second, this labeling might be hoped to bring some marketing sizzle to the enterprise that might still work to some extent. But the track record of ICOs is still being sorted out, and some of the sizzle may now be more of a potential warning flare for investors. Some may be attracted to crowdfund through a blockchain-mediated process. Digital assets can represent a relatively frictionless way to reach a global audience in order to seed a network where initial purchasers have a stake in the success of the network and become part of its early adopting participants who add value beyond their investment contributions. Related to this, some believe that once the token or coin is operational, it will cease to be a security and secondary liquidity may be easier to achieve. While I recognize that possibility, as I will discuss, the ability to transact in a coin or token on the secondary market requires a careful and fact-sensitive legal analysis. I believe some industry participants are beginning to realize that in some circumstances it might be easier to start a blockchain-based enterprise in a more conventional way. In other words, do the initial funding through a conventional equity or debt offering, and once the network is up and running, distribute or offer blockchain-based tokens or coins participants who need the functionality the network and the digital assets offer. This allows the tokens or coins to be structured and offered in a way where it is evident purchasers are not making an investment in the development of the enterprise. Ooh, we're gonna have to relax while we're unpacking this. Wow, 48 people reading this with me. I'm honestly shocked. 43 likes as well. I greatly appreciate it. If you like my work, join Tom's Army. If you want to show your appreciation for the work I do and you want to support my work, join Tom's Army, $9.99 a month. I don't charge for anything on YouTube. All my information's free, so if you want to pay it forward, that would be greatly appreciated. Or you can leave a super chat if you appreciate what I do as well. Returning to the ICOs. Oh, hold on one sec. Returning to the ICOs, we are seeing, strictly speaking, the token or coin or whatever the digital information packet is called, all by itself is not a security, just as the Orange Groves and this is what, page 8 of 13, Groves Howie were not. And this is not a cigarette. I don't smoke cigarettes. This is my pain relieving substance. As you know, I broke my back many, many years ago, so I turned to cannabis. Central to determining whether a security is being sold is how it is being sold. For example, when a certificate of deposit is sold by a federally regulated bank, the CD is not a security. When a CD is sold as a part of a program organized by a broker who offers retail investors promises of liquidity and ability to profit from changes in interest rates, the CD is part of an investment contract that is a security. Similarly, when someone buys a housing unit to live in, even when represented by an instrument called stock, it is probably not a security. When the housing unit is offered with a management contract or other services as an investment, it can be a security. And so, with digital assets, the digital asset itself is simply code. But the way it is sold as part of an investment to non-users by promoters to develop their idea can be, and in that what's going on, Randad? Thanks, Dwayne. I really appreciate that. Can be, and in that context, most often is a security because it evidences an investment contract. And regulating these transactions as security transactions makes sense. I gotta let my cat in. She decided to run out and it's starting to rain. Come on, Ghost. I told you it was raining out there. Sorry about that. But I didn't want my cat to be sitting out there just because we're reading. That's inhumane. The impetus of the Securities Act is to remove the information asymmetry between promoters and investors. In a public distribution, the Securities Act prescribes the information investors need in order to make an informed decision, and the promoter is liable for material misstatements and offering materials. These are important safeguards and they are appropriate for most ICOs. The disclosure marries nicely with the Howey investment contract element about the efforts of others as an investor, the success of the enterprise, and the ability to realize a profit on the investment. Appreciate you, Dwayne. The success of the enterprise and the ability to realize a profit on the investment turns on the efforts of the third party. The investor is relying on the third party. So learning material information about the third party, its background, financing, plans, financial stake, and so forth. Now we're on, what is this? Page 9. So forth is a prerequisite to making an informed investment decision. Unless the third party is compelled by the securities law to disclose what is alone knows of these topics and the risk. Wow, Dwayne, thanks for the $2 in euro, the €2. I really appreciate that. The risk associated with the venture investors will be uninformed and are at risk. But this also points the way to when a digital asset may no longer represent a security when the efforts of the third party are no longer a key determining factor for the enterprise's success, material information asymmetries recede. Moreover, as a network becomes truly decentralized, the ability to identify an issuer to make the disclosure becomes difficult and perhaps meaningless. Let me take a drink real quick. And so, when we look at, what kind of water is that? Hold on. Sorry about that. It may be a petty thing, but I am not a sponsor, but I truly love Icelandic water. It tastes much better than our purified nonsense they send us. Where was I at? Moreover, as a network becomes truly decentralized, the ability to identify an issuer to make the disclosure becomes difficult and perhaps meaningless. And so when we look at Bitcoin, we do not see a third party whose efforts are a key determining factor in the enterprise. The value of Bitcoin turns on the efforts of decentralized miners and independent market participants, assessments of an open source payment mechanism, applying the disclosure provisions of the Securities Act laws. In this situation would seem to add little value. Note to draft, we expect to use the following bracketed language, subject to confirmation of our understanding of the Ethereum network and discussions with representatives of Ethereum Foundation. Likewise, based on our understanding of the present state of Ether and the Ethereum network, regulating the offer and sale of Ether as a security does not seem to be warranted. Let me read that again. Likewise, look, we expect to use the following bracketed language subject to confirmation of our understanding of the Ethereum network and discussions with representatives of the Ethereum Foundation. Likewise, based on our understanding of the present state of Ether and the Ethereum network, regulating the offer and sale of Ether as a security does not seem to be warranted. Isn't that the redacted parts? Would not appear to further the policy objectives of Securities Act. So why would they just cross out does not seem to be warranted? Because they're trying to cover their own ass, ladies and gentlemen. They hid that little section from us, and we already knew what it said. There may be other decentralized networks where regulating the tokens that function on them as a security may not be warranted. Over. That's what we wanted right there. I'm satisfied. That's the exact line I was looking for in this. It's over. It's over. That's giving Ripple a Hail Mary. There it is. If you're looking for your saving grace, there it is. Ether as a security does not seem to be warranted. Would not appear to further the policy objectives of the Securities Act. There may be other decentralized, what's XRP? Decentralized by nature, even though they're trying to say it's centralized, but it's put together as anyhow. Decentralized networks where regulating the tokens that function on them as a security may not be warranted. And of course, they redacted that out. But now we can see it. So does anybody have any comments about that section alone? 52 people watching, 52 likes. That's spectacular. That's spectacular. I want to hear what everybody thinks about that sentence, and then we're moving on. I just need to take one quick break so I can light this. And I seem to have misplaced my stuff. How could I misplace the lighter? Here it is. Unless everybody's just so enthralled with what I'm reading. Oh, maybe it's not showing up. That could be it. That could be it. Duh. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it goes. But we gotta... Let me get this back up just so I can... So fast. Let's see what everybody's saying on my phone. Oh, there we go. Not only did William Hinman call Vitalik Buterin to make sure he was happy with the speech, but he also sent it to 19 other SEC staff. That's what I'm... There's so much. Let's continue to unpack this real quick. But yes, OSW. But I'm going to read this sentence again real quick. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if they don't have something on Judge Torres, because if she rules in favor of this, I saw a post where John Deaton has put notes down saying that Ripple sold XRP to Coinbase and someone else, so they can still cop a fine, but only in the start. Yep. Only in the start up days, so XRP may not get off scot. No, like I've said before, they're gonna do a fine. I said that. There was a rumor that it was like a $250,000 fine up to a couple million. Ooh, XRP, Ripple. You really think they care about that small of a fine? If it's anything, a fine or less, this is a win. I expect a fine. I expect a fine. So let's read. Mark Kelly, thank you so much for the $9.99. Spend it before the dollar is worthless. Absolutely. Welcome in, Pete City. But let's continue unpacking the Hinman documents here. So it says, likewise, based on our understanding of the present state of Ether and Ethereum network, regulating the offer and sale of Ether as a security does not seem to be warranted, would not appear to further the policy objectives of the Securities Act. There may be other decentralized networks where regulating the tokens, that function on them as a security may not be warranted. Case closed. That's purely obtains right now to XRP. There's no reason or Ripple. There's no reason it should be under indictment right now. Period. After 200 million in lawyer battles with 2 million is dumb. Yep, exactly. It is sure. I call that insider trading. It sure is. Pete City, welcome in. So let's continue on this. And of course, there continue to be systems that rely on central actors whose efforts are key to the success of the enterprise. In those cases, application of securities laws can protect the investors. I'm so pissed off this. Yep. To purchase the coins. There will be disclosure requirements and SEC supervised regulated trading mediated by regulated entities. This is non-public draft. TM comments on draft of June 4, 2018. As I have tried to point out, the analysis is not static and the nature of security does not adhere to the instruments. Like CDs, which when issued by a federally regulated bank are not securities, but when repackaged as part of an investment strategy, it can be securities. And that was my stomach growling, because as you know, I've been fasting 16 hours a day, so I've got a long ways to go still today, until 1. It's the day 20, by the way. Even digital assets with utility in an existing ecosystem could be packaged and sold as an investment strategy that can be a security. A promoter could place Bitcoin in a fund or trust and sell interest, creating a new security. Similarly, investment contracts can be made out of virtually any asset, including virtual assets, provided the investor is reasonably expecting profits from the promoter's efforts. Let me emphasize an earlier point. Simply labeling a digital asset a utility token does not turn the asset into something that is not a security. True, the Supreme Court has acknowledged that if someone is purchasing an asset for consumption only, it is likely not a security. Are we not buying XRP for consumption? We're not looking to resell it. If Alice is buying it, we're not looking to resell it to a third party. We're looking to obtain ownership of these tokens. So let me read this again. True, the Supreme Court has acknowledged that if someone is purchasing an asset for consumption only, it is likely not a security. Again, what are we purchasing XRP for? What is Ripple and the native token? We're not doing it for resale purposes. I'm not going on the black market. There's not another market for me to sell it on. The oranges in Howie had utility. Or in my favorite example, the commission warned in the late 1960s, and XRP, Ripple, by virtue of XRP, has utility because they're using it as a way to move significant amounts of capital, of liquidity. In the late 1960s, about investment contracts sold in the form of whiskey, warehouse receipts, promoters sold the receipts to the U.S. investors to finance the aging and blending processes of Scotch whiskey. The whiskey was real and for some had exquisite utility, but Howie was not selling oranges in the warehouse receipts. Promoters were not selling whiskey for consumption, they were selling investments, and the purchasers were expecting a return. We expect issuers and market participants will want to understand whether transactions... Oh, it's going to dump. It's going to dump. This could be a sell the new style event. Whether transactions in a particular digital asset involve the sale of security, And remember, the whole market pumped today. It wasn't just XRP. XRP might have moved more than a lot of others, but a lot of them pumped today. So this was not an XRP exclusive event today for the pump. We are not trying to play regulatory gotcha. We're happy to help promoters and their counsel work through these issues. We stand prepared to provide more formal interpretive or no action guidance to market participants about the proper characterization of a digital asset and a proposed use. What are some of the factors we would look to? Whether a digital asset is offered as an investment contract and is thus a security will always depend on the particular facts and circumstances, and this list is illustrative, not exhaustive. 1. Is there a person or organized group that has sponsored or promoted the creation and sale of digital assets, the efforts of which play a significant role in the development and maintenance of the asset and its potential increase in value? 2. Has this person or group retained a stake or other interest in the digital asset such that it would be motivated to expend efforts to cause an increase in value in the digital asset? Would purchasers reasonably believe such efforts will be undertaken and may result in a return on their investment in the digital asset? Does the promoter continue to expend funds from proceeds or operations to enhance the functionality and or value of the system within which the token operates? Has the promoter raised an amount of funding that seems reasonably related to the cost of creating the network? And if you're just coming in here, what did you miss, Robert? You're going to have to show some due respect and watch this from the beginning. I'm not going to just start over right now. We're almost 10 pages into this. So you're going to have to watch this from the beginning. If you're just tuning in, you're going to have to unpack this from the beginning. We're continuing on. You can go back to the beginning of this live from when it first started. Steve, welcome in. Let's see. It seems reasonably related to the cost of creating the network. So now we're on page 12 of 13 now. 3, are purchasers investing that it is seeking a return? In that regard is the instrument marketed and sold to potential users of the network for a price that reasonably correlates with the market value of the good or service in the network? Did I read that way? Right. Welcome in 71 people, 67 likes. I greatly appreciate that. Make sure you hit that like button. Marketed and sold to potential users of the network for a price that reasonably correlates with the market value of the good or service in the network. 4, does application of the Securities Act protections make sense? Is there a person or entity others are relying on that plays a key role in the profit making of the enterprises such that disclosure of their activities and plans would be helpful to investors? Do informational asymmetries wait a minute. Asymmetric. Oh, I don't know. All my words are getting put together. Exist between the promoters and potential purchasers / investors in the digital asset. In the meantime, are there contractual or technical ways to structure digital assets so they are less likely to act like a security? I believe so. Again, there are certainly not get out of jail free cards, and we would like to look to the economic substance of the transaction, but promoters and their counsel should consider these and other possible features. This list is not intended to be exhaustive, and by no means do I believe each and every one of these factors needs to be present to establish a case that a token is not being offered as a security. RHS, we need to stay above 55. I'll show you, we don't necessarily need to stay above 55, but it would go a long way. I'll show you the last stand support where we need to hold for this inverted head and shoulders pattern to finish off what it needs to do. Just stay tuned after this. I do very nice technical analysis, so if you're new to my station, you're going to see something you don't get from most stations. I do more than news. 1, is token creation commensurate with meeting the needs of users or rather with feeding speculation? 2, can tokens be hoarded or are they distributed in ways to meet users' needs? For example, does the token degrade in value over time, or can it only be held or transferred in amounts that correspond to a purchaser's expected use? 3, are the assets dispersed across a diverse use base or concentrated in the hands of a few that can exert influence over the application? Have purchasers made representations as their consumptive as opposed to their investment intent? Is the promoter, and this is the last page, 13 out of 13, is the promoter supporting the secondary market for the assets, or are independent actors setting the price? That is a good question. See, 5, This is something to speculate. What do we talk about? This is where you got to draw it. This is where you got to be very careful. Is the promoter supporting the secondary market for the assets, or are independent actors setting the price? I will leave that up to your interpretation. Is the application in early stage development or fully functioning? 7, is the asset marketed and distributed to be potential uses or the general public? Distributed to potential users or the general public. These are exciting legal times, and I am pleased to be a part of a process that can help promoters of this new technology and their counsel navigate and comply with the federal securities laws. Well, you're telling us all this, and yet they're coming at everybody and anybody not named Ethereum or Bitcoin. You know? Oh, Tanya, no problem. Nope. Just, you're going to have to watch this from the beginning when this, I read through the whole 13-page document. 80 people in here. Make sure to hit that like button. I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. We just went through the 13-page document, everybody. There was a lot to unpack. For anybody who was here, what do you think? To me, one key thing stands out, and for everybody who's tuning in, Sean, good morning, my main man from Maine. Blessed to see you in here as well. But there was one key thing for anybody who wasn't here when we were reading this. Let's see if I remember where this was at. And this is something that is and it's something that I was waiting to see, and I might have went too far. I believe I went too far. They said something very, very, very interesting. Good morning, Zocstar. One Recon, welcome in. One Rough Recon. If you weren't here, I'll have to... there was one spot where it said that Ethereum... One part of this, it said Ethereum. Oh, man, I need to go back to it. But for anybody who didn't see it, there was so much we unpacked. It's all like kind of blobbed together right now because we went through so much stuff. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. I really do. Which one was it, OSW? Does anybody remember what page that was on? If you were watching this, what I'm referring to? Yeah, it was the... So, kind of digital asset or token. Ethereum was referred to... Yes, it was referred to as a security. So, Ethereum was referred as a security, but it said... That doesn't mean that it needs to... Oh, man. I feel like it was somewhere around here. Search from Hinman. No, it wasn't a big nothing burger. What they said was that there was room for other that there would also be exception for decentralized digital assets to not be gone after, like exactly what's going on with XRP. You're going to have to watch this from the beginning. Basically what's going on, because we need to look at the charts right now. I don't want to be going through there. It basically said that decentralized technologies, in the same way as Ethereum, even though Ethereum was a security, initial coin offerings, that doesn't necessarily give them a right to go after you. Just because you had an ICO, and it gave a whole list of reasons why. You'll have to unpack that as well. Do the due diligence and go through and actually watch that, because I'm not going to be able to just give all the information out ASAP, like on the spot, because we're focused on the chart as well. Because now, is this a sell the new style event? So if this is a sell the new style event, look what's happening here. Now, this could be a liquidity pull because we don't have a lot of volume dumping. But if this is a sell the new style event, I mean, we're dumping through the floor, and it would continue going. Now, the 537, I heard somebody say the 558, that is not technically true. The 558 was the next resistance. The next hold point after holding and breaking up from the 522 is actually 537. So that could be a liquidity pull down as everybody's getting a little, hey, we had a pump, Now we had a little liquidity dump before maybe a further push up because the technical target is still a little bit higher. And right now we confirming 5375. We had an overextension down to 5308. That's just an extension. That's a wick. If you look at that in the hourly, the 4 hourly, that'll end up being a wick. So if we can hold the 537, that validates the move up from the 522 level up to the 537 now is the new support. So you have to do this properly. So don't get too emotional yet. You have to let this break down properly before it's just up, the pattern's over. So we came up 52 cents, came up 53 cents, consolidated, broke up, hit the 585, came back now. Now we're trying to see if this is new support. Now you would squeeze back up, and if it is, you would come up here and try to make that new support. Or you would double top and confirm the pattern breakdown. But if we look at this from a farther out view, if you're new, the daily time frame, that is still a bull flag. That's a bull flag right now, ladies and gentlemen. So don't get too caught up in your emotions just because it started going down right away. It's going to start coming down. That's the pattern we have drawn out. It's almost satisfied it now. Not quite. Could this be the end of it? It could be, but we have to pay out our proper due diligence here. We have to see if this is actually going to break down. So all this we know already. We must wait for... Yeah, we already knew that, Alexander. Hinman, and the Hinman called the Vitalik Buterin as well to make sure it was all good. So that was also in there as well. Great point. But of course, it's not going to be anything we don't know. But it's going to validate some of the things we do know of why Ethereum is getting away with it and why XRP is being, it's a witch hunt, and why all these others that are going to go down the same way as XRP, unless somebody in Congress steps up and actually puts a bill forward. You know, take this for what it is. Don't be so negative in the comments. Don't be so, oh my God, this is nothing. At least now you know where you stand. Now you have a little bit of clarity on what was said, and now you don't have to listen to the tools on YouTube that are going to mislead you. If you took the time to listen to this 35 minutes appropriately, you now have the information. You can make an informed and rational decision about where XRP and Ripple stands with the Ripple lawsuit. Thanks, Alexander. I appreciate that. JP Morgan equal. Yep. Oh, wait a minute. JPM settlement this week. Oh, I thought you were talking about something. Yes, it is. It is all over from the start. Yep. It is what it is. So, does everybody understand before I exit? Do you understand what's going on the charts right now? Do you understand the part of the pattern? I didn't say you were being negative. I just said don't be negative in the comments and thinking that this is a nothing. This is something. You're getting clarity. Don't take it personal, Sean. I'm speaking in general terms, not to anybody directly. Remember, positive and emotionless mindset. Don't take it personally. Later, Tom, off to work. Absolutely. We're going to be getting off here too as well. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew what was going on. I do appreciate everybody tuning in. It was a spectacular showing here. Spectacular. Still 79 people in here. If you're not part of this show already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want to show some appreciation for my work, you can always join Tom's Army. I put all my content out for free for a reason. But yeah, the reason why this is good is because it makes the SEC look like exactly what we thought. And it puts it out there for public record now. So now if they're trying to do something, you don't have to guess what he said. That's the thing. This is exactly what we all thought was going to be in it. This is exactly what we were expecting. But now we don't have to guess. We don't have to guess. That's the point. Don't have to guess. So is this a bullish handle? That's all we need to figure out. Is this going to hold the 537? If it does, we're going to finish off the technical target up here. And a lot of people are just sold out on that dump. And if it's not, and we get rejected here and we come through, we know. At least we know. You want it one way or the other. I would have preferred for this to come up to 585, but we have to take this properly. Let's see how this goes out. Notice the sell volume on that sale in that 30 minutes. So on the push up, This is what I always like to look at. 12.7 million in volume, 28.507 in volume. This hold, 3.1. And now the drop, 5.92 million. So there's 6 times less volume on that drop than the candle that created the start of the bull flag. Just something to acknowledge. But also, we know if this breaks down and we lose the 52.22, that's the first sign. If we lose 515, we're in trouble. If we lose 508, well, the 508 is the level that we can't afford to lose here. So if we lose the 508, 50 cents, 49.40 may just be a formality. When do you know this inverted head and shoulders has come to a head? Well, you'll know when we break down 46 cents. 46 cents breaks down, I have very little hope left for this pattern. Let me pull this out into a bigger time frame. And the reason for that is because then we would kind of come up and create a fake out here on this news, a sell the news style event. But be that as it may, if you're actually looking at this from a bigger time frame, especially even in the 2 hour, you can see it. That's not necessarily, that might not be the end of this. Let's let it break down before we just say this pattern's over, because the technical target still maintains. It should come up to 585, but with the sell the new style event, you pull the rug, you get a lot of the emotional traders that end up taking themselves out, or a bunch of people, if this was a sell the new style event, you get them pumping into the release. So, there's a lot to unpack here. So I'll do an update later this morning, so it'll just be technical analysis based. I appreciate everybody who tuned in for this, as it blew my expectations how many people were watching in the mid 80s while we were doing that. 89 likes now. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I will try to do the live at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just wanted to do a live release of this. And if we do break down, like Derek Plaza said, we would have a date. And Derek, welcome in. If you guys like XRP, go watch Derek. Simple as that. Same amount of subscribers as me, ironically. I feel blessed to be in that kind of company. So, we would. I mean, think about it. If we break down this and this fails, now we got to come back and retest that breakout point, but it gets worse than that. And I got to go, but it gets worse than that. If this were to break down, and let's just make sure it's breaking down first before we throw in the towel, ladies and gentlemen. Like I'm saying, let's make sure it breaks down first. But let's say, hypothetically, we break down, we ultimately lose these levels, we break down the short-term, I guess you could call it a descending triangle in the immediate short term that we broke back above. Let's just say that downtrending resistance. Let's say we get back in here and we are tempted with this fate. We are tempted back within here. If you see XRP at any point come back down here and retest this 355 of them, this is where Derek's talking about. This is where Derek, and right now it is a perfect retest mark. Where Derek's talking about right now, going to 36, is dead on the money. That 36 cent area, I have it at 3.5. Maybe it is 36 cents now. It's moved up. Yeah, oh yes. It's moved up from 3.55. So Derek, thank you. It's like 3.9, 3.5. Right about 3.594, 3.6. Beautiful. So if it breaks that uptrend, that's the 2017 uptrend, everybody. This is the 2021 uptrend. This is the 2021 uptrend. So if we break the 2021 uptrend and get a back test on it, the technical drop from there is 45.6% down to the 2017 uptrend at 19.3. If that doesn't hold and you want to go back to 2013, the 2013 uptrend, and this isn't to blow smoke because it's not, this is not the higher probability, but if we go back to the all-time pattern and try to come from the 2013 uptrend, that's where you get these catastrophic drops, and that's where you can get a 3,600% rise. That's where you get the thousands of percent just to get back up here. That is the least likely of scenarios. I still think we have a better than not shot, well, a 50-50 shot of breaking the 2021 uptrend and revisiting this 2017 uptrend. I think it's a 50-50 shot for this to happen in today's environment. And then if you get down there, that's when you can really get into catastrophe mode, and you'd be looking at a very, very big drop. And that would be the 2013 uptrend. But that is nothing that's guaranteed. That's just something we have to keep in mind. But right now I'm looking to keep in the short-term pattern formation, keep an understanding of what we're looking at, and understand that this pattern has a long ways to go before it breaks down, and we can't do it based on emotion. I think this is a very good interpretation of why I believe what I do is very important, and I believe I'm the best at what I do because I don't let emotions dictate what I'm doing, and I can decipher a pattern better than anybody.